Mario once again with MIA Microflight. This video is going to be on these helicopters. This is a traditional 250 size helicopter that was sold by, I believe I bought these from Hobby King back in 2000, maybe 2007, 2009. It's when at the height of what I call the micro helicopter revolution. For those who have followed MIA Microflight for many, many years, you'll also know that I did some earlier helicopters. I was bringing into the market some of the very early submicro pound size helicopter kits. And in later years, I turned those very same designs into upgrades for a lot of the influx of helicopters that were coming out from other companies during those years that I called the micro helicopter revolution, around 2000, 2003 on forward till 2010, when around 2007, 2010 is when the FPV quadcopter started to surface, and some of these things kind of died down a little bit. But the point of this video is just to give you an insight for somebody that is not familiar with this type of architecture and just these products that were coming out in those years. You're not going to find this. These are very hard to find. You could essentially buy the whole kit. You make your own in a box like this. And let me just give you a look inside what came in this box here. Now, remember I said I was buying these from Hobby King. They were making these little tiny helicopters in kit form, and you could buy all these things that came in a box, all aluminum parts. Very similar in size, to the 250. I think it's the Gooski or OMP helicopters that surface in recent years. But the point that I'm trying to make is that this technology was available inexpensive, to the user. You could buy these things very inexpensively, and all you had to do is just mount your own components, servos, the gyro. This does not use a flight controller per se. These use gyros. So there's the gyro right there, just a standard rate gyro, also from Hobby King. Receivers, the orange receivers, and you can use your own transmitter. Beauty about this flybar design, I never really care for flybarless helicopters, because then you're relying on the electronic stabilization, to make the helicopter work, without the flybar. I much prefer the flybar, even though it's a little bit unsightly for some people. For me, it doesn't matter, because this does provide a true mechanical stabilization on the helicopter. And in my opinion, it's much better, because electronic stabilization can go bad, and then there goes your helicopter. Much in the same way that these new helicopters, RC era helicopters, employ a flight controller that is designed to allow the user some control, but not total control. And my beef, or my problem, the problem that I have with those helicopters from RC era and similar ones, is that they employ flight controllers that have firmware embedded. In other words, software or code embedded in the flight controllers that force you to use the auto stabilization features, and it doesn't give you total control during takeoff and landing. So many of the problems associated with some of those things, when they're not working in total harmony, with the transmitter, because the transmitter has to communicate with the receiver, the flight controller, is you encounter flyaways, and you encounter helicopters taking a mind of their own, and then they crash during takeoffs, or you can't stop the motors sometimes. Flyaways, crashes, and just out of control. So I don't care for that technology at all. And so this video is, just to show you some of the cool things that have been have disappeared, basically have been removed. These things don't disappear just for the hell of it. I believe there's a system of control that controls the economy of the world. The economy, a lot of things in the world are controlled by by a set of people, a set of rules, and those go trickle down, to other companies that manufacture these things. So it's not so much a thing that the market's not. There's no market for that. There is a market for this. It's just that they're not allowing. When you go and search these things, it gives you two options. Either buy, those Sierra helicopters or the Gusky in this particular Gusky or OMP in this particular size, and then you're paying up the wazoo, for the for a helicopter with with stuff that you in past years, you could build it yourself to your liking with components that you could get pretty much anywhere. These things were so available. Now try to find these gyros. They're rare. You will not find these helicopters in kit form, this particular size, or the components even. And pretty soon, they're going to take away all these other components. Even the brushless motors that you could get in so many variations nowadays. They're very limited into specific sizes, and so it's basically all about removing control to the user. To removing control to the people, and this is not just happening. Or has not happened just with hobby products. It is happening with everything. Talk about computers. Now they want you to pay subscriptions to the cloud in order to save your data. It's fucking crazy. Pardon my French, but it's a fucked up. It's a fucked up system, and I am pissed, because I'm doing this video because I was telling my wife this morning. I was reminiscing on these things, and I go online and I try to find some helicopters that I could just buy and make make it to my own standards, and it's just not available. It's a good thing that at least I bought a few of these boxes here of these frames that I show you, in some canopies that I could at least make all these variations that you see here. Now that canopy came from another company. Artec was another company that was selling a lot of cool canopies, a lot of cool stuff. So that's an Artec canopy. That is also from Artec, I believe. This a Hughes 300. So at least I could make my own to my own liking and my own ways. But the problem these days is that, like I said, try to find these gyros. You're not going to find these electronic components that you could find easily back in the day. So what are you left to do? You're left to either make your own, or you're at the mercy of these companies that sell you only what they want you to buy, which is really crappy. I have made so many comments on many videos with respect to our Sierra's helicopters, asking if they have fixed, at least if they have fixed the firmware or any issues that those flight controllers that came with C-189, that Hughes 500 type helicopter. I mean, they're beautiful helicopters Air Sierra is producing in scale form, but that only goes so far. Because if you cannot have a reliable helicopter, what's the point in having a beautiful helicopter? At least this way, making my own, I know what I'm using, and I know how I'm building this. I know how this is working, and the fact that it's not. I'm not at the mercy of the flight controller doing my automatic the takeoff and landing. I have full control from start to finish of the product of the assembly of the helicopter. So this is a video, to talk about these things, because nobody else is talking about this, or they're ghosting people that are saying things that go against the these norms these new norms that have removed power. Talk about also quadcopters. Quadcopters. The name quadcopter is a term that I prefer to use instead of drone, because even the name drone has been systematically and psychologically established in the hobby industry to make these things to give them that definition of a drone. They're not drones. The drones is a flying contraption that carries weapons, that carries stealth technology, to spy or has weapons built into it. That, to me, is a drone. A quadcopter is more of a hobby grade thing, and people have gotten used to using the word drone. It bugs the shit out of me. And once again, pardon my French if you're watching this video, but I'm so fed up with all these fucking things and all this terminology that is done on purpose. I guarantee you that's not on purpose to remove to remove power to the user, and then to basically give you what the system wants and not what you want. So I hope this video hits a nerve where it needs to hit, because that's my intent. I am extremely pissed at not having the options, or not personally, but there's a lot of people. I see older guys, flying the old helicopters, and the comments that I see in those videos is of stupid people that just don't understand where this came from, how hard it was to fly these things without the gyros, without all this electronic gizmo of today's, all this AI bullshit. And they don't appreciate, how you had to employ a lot of time and effort into understanding the mechanics, the aerodynamics of building a helicopter, and then finally being able to succeed and fly it with none of these gizmos that today make it so easy for the beginner, but also so unsafe and unreliable. So if you're with me on this, give me a thumbs up. At least show me that their support, they're out there, that I'm not the only one that has this particular point of view in these things that used to be great at one time. Mario, once again, stay tuned for more.